This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Tom, we were just debating about the 2 Arkansas wins and 2 Arkansas losses. If you had to pick those 4 games, for in your opinion, if Sam Pittman could just magically say, we're winning these 2 games, but unfortunately we have to lose these 2 games, what do you think would be the best 2 games to win and lose for the Arkansas football team this year?
Wow, what a proposal, man. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to play along, other than I think he would like to say he could beat these 2 teams. And I think he'd pick Bama just because of the long streak and because of what it would mean. You know, if you beat Bama, then your program has hit a milestone. You know, Ole Miss did it a few years ago. Auburn's done it here and there. A&M got a big one.
Ask Tennessee.
Tennessee got it last year. So it's a thing right now to beat Bama. So I think that would be one. And then, you know, there's some teams they've beaten in recent years. He's already beaten LSU. He's already beaten Ole Miss and Mississippi State some. And he's beaten A&M once too. So I don't know. The second one would be since there wouldn't be any long streak breakers in there. But it might be like a road win somewhere, like maybe Florida. Something like that.
I said Florida because you've never won at Florida, and this year it comes off your bye week. I just think it's so deflating, Tom, when you lose going into a bye and then you get 2 weeks to get ready for the next game. And if you lose or fall flat coming off of a bye, particularly early November, that just feels like a loss and a half to me. So I think Florida's, if you could circle one and, hey, I guarantee victory here at Gainesville this year would have to be one for me just because of where it's at on the schedule.
Yeah, I like the sound of all that, all the reasons you laid out. And then, you know, you haven't beaten Florida in so many years. And, the course of a season, this is going to be a really bizarre course of a season for Arkansas because after the first 3 at home, and, you know, you hope you cap that by beating BYU again, and you'd be 3-0 ostensibly. Then it starts to get really tough. I mean, you've got an A&M team that, if you go back over a decade, how many of those games should they have won? It's like 4 or 5 they should have won but didn't, and I wouldn't say there's any that they won and shouldn't have won. Mm-hmm. So they've managed to snatch a loss out of the jaws of victory many times in that series. It's very frustrating. I mean, to the point that Brett Bielema said that he wanted to go across and punch Kevin Sumlin, his buddy. I mean, that's how frustrating this series has been. And last year was, you know, it wasn't overtime, but it was a different kind of chapter to the pain they felt there. So they really need to beat A&M. And, you know, the LSU game, it's a tough way to start out. But, hey, man, they had a chance against them last year too.
Tom Murphy with us here on the McLarty Daniel Hotline. Tom, one of the things we asked Sam Pittman, or what Tommy asked Sam Pittman yesterday, is really about the formations. He was very adamant about having 4 down linemen and seeing more tight ends wrinkled in the offense. What is something intriguing you want to see at fall camp schematically from both sides of the football?
I mean, we saw a lot of all this in spring, and I think Sam Pittman has just kind of made his mind up that when they have 3 down linemen, and you go back to the Georgia game, Georgia threw, 17 passes in that game 2 years ago? They just crushed them on the ground, and they don't want to be subject to that anymore. They want to be able to get the fits they want and have more equitable matchups across the front, and you do that by having a D lineman in there. Now, they've got to be flexible enough to go to more of a 3-man with, you know, a linebacker-type body if they have to. But it's interesting that they say, you know, we're going to keep 4 linemen on the field at all times. The makeup of the secondary, I mean, we know some of the frontline guys, but there's so many newcomers. I'm intrigued to see where everybody's going to start fitting in. I mean, including some guys who weren't on campus, like Jaheim Singletary, and there's some others, how they're going to fit into the 2 deep. So that's intriguing to me. And then we know what the Dan Eno system has looked like before, and we know that he's added more RPOs into what he does, but still likes, you know, 2 tights. He likes to run pistols and take snaps under center. And so they're going to keep those variations going. And it's it's things for defenses to have to scheme up for, and that's what we know Dan Enos has, been known for.
Yeah. Tom Murphy with us here on the McClarty Daniel Hotline. I don't know if you heard the conversation we had with Coach yesterday, but I thought he gave us some great insight and some personnel detail about the offensive line, and particularly where they're at with the tackles right now. I thought one of the more interesting things he said, in addition to kind of looking at Devin Manuel and Patrick Kutas as their tackles, and then Tykees Crawford fitting into that, but also the backup role and how they're hoping that the transfer Wiggins, was it Amari Wiggins, can hold down that spot as the number 2 center. I thought that was some good insight from Coach yesterday.
Yeah, and now that you mention that, I need to go back and listen to the full interview, because when local media talks to Sam Pittman, I'm going to get more out of that than, say, his sit down with some guys up in Nashville last week. So I will go back and listen. And hey, if they think Wiggins is a good backup center, I mean, we know they moved some guys around Street and some other guys at center behind Limmer, but having a transfer that they trust would be a big deal there, and it might give you more latitude in the other position.
And I think the goal, from what he was saying, I think he laid it out well yesterday, is let's not let one move become two. Let's not have to make 2 moves because of one injury. And they're they'd like to be 2 deep at every spot. That way, if someone goes down, you don't have to move a center to a guard spot, or someone from a different position, and have to have 2 different linemen in different spots as a result of one injury.
Exactly, and that's what they've been really good at, is all that types of plotting. And they bring, I want to say 6 guys who they could trust at center to at least make the center quarterback exchange to every game. Even road games, they'll have 6 guys that they know that can snap the ball. And so they try to cover every contingency. If a Tykees Crawford goes down like he did in the bowl game, Emarion Harris, that was a great substitution role for him against Kansas in the bowl game. And so they're going to have every contingency covered, or try to. And the earlier you get that going in camp, the more the guys trust themselves if they're playing a little bit out of position,
Talking with Tom Murphy here on the Morning Rush via the McClarty Daniel Hotline. Tom, we got basketball news yesterday. The Purdue Boilermakers, Matt Painter, coming in on the bye week with the best player in college basketball last season, all 7'4" of Zach Edey. How about that exhibition we got coming up at the end of October, man?
What a bit of news that was out of the blue yesterday. Yeah, you're talking about the consensus player of the year from last year, a guy who was going to go in the draft and pull back out in Edey. And, I mean, at 7'4", how often do you see a guy the shot blocking, the scoring down low, the rebounding, it's all going to be a huge test for this team. You kind of wish it went on the actual ledger instead of just being an exhibition game. But, hey, it's still going to be wonderful. It's going to raise money for, tornado relief. On our trip to Nashville last week, Wally Hall told us about how, like, the rest of the state kind of forgets, okay, wow, it hit in Little Rock, that's bad. But he said these neighborhoods are still devastated, and it wiped out some major sections of Little Rock. So it's a good cause. It's a fantastic opponent. The scheduling that Eric Musselman and his staff have been able to accrue, I mean, the preseason trips and the exhibitions, like at Texas last year, they get beat by 30, but you're like, excuse me, my watch is talking to me. They get beat by 30, but you know that they're going to bounce back, and they did. So, I don't know. This will be fun, and you'll get to see a player who's going to be a probably first-team All-American.
Yeah. Tom, it is still a college football Saturday. While Arkansas is not playing, there's still going to be some pivotal college football games that day. What kind of attendance do you think we see for when Purdue comes to town?
There's a huge section of Razorback fans who will come to basketball, like they're devoted to basketball. So although it might not be a full house, it's an exhibition game, there's still going to be a very representative audience for that game because of, the national platform it gives. And if I go to it, and I probably will, then I will record whatever prominent game of the day that there's going to be on that day.
Yeah. And were you as excited as probably the rest of the people that work on campus and that cover the team that it was on the bye weekend? That way you don't have to worry about having no plans that weekend and relaxing and resting. You got some work to do that weekend. Were you as excited as the rest of us about that part of the scheduling?
Okay, now you're taking us into another realm, Tommy. The last 2 years, I have done something on the open date weeks just to get away, just to reset, We went to far West Texas 2 years ago after the UAPB game in Little Rock, and I did something last year. I don't remember. But I will probably plan for something for the middle part of that week, and I don't know about the weekend. It just depends on how big we're going to cover the game. But, people on campus, it's a great game and all, but then, they do have to work it. So sorry for them.
Yeah. Well, and, last year Arkansas went down to Austin and played Texas. That game was not televised. I would be surprised just because of the time of the year and because of some things that they put this even on the streaming TV on the SEC Network Plus on Arkansas Stream, because generally I think coaches want to keep as much under wraps as they can, and they don't put it out there that it's not out there.
Well, you bring up some points. You guys have thought this through a little bit more than I have. I do not know what type of presentation it might be for TV, but that's probably why they're still talking about it.
Well, Tom, we'll leave it there this morning, man. We really appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk on Tuesday as we get closer to football season. 37 days out.
Wow. Yeah, sounds good. Y'all have a great weekend.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.